right. So what we're doing here, this is the second half of the story about the 5 things easier to do than Simeon's and Kenzie's secret handshake. So we've gotten through the first 3 things that are easier to do than Simeon's and Kenzie's secret handshake. So we're now on number 4 on page 107. Number 4, picking the perfect snack from Freddo's corner store. Walking into Freddo's was like walking into a dungeon, no matter what time of day it was. The light was always dim, and the shelves were packed so high that you couldn't see over them. Walls of whatnot, no windows, big enough for the world's snacks, but too small for anything else. Always smelled like incense smoke trying to mask dirty mop water. Kenzie and Simeon came through the door with the kind of confidence of someone who owned the place. "Freddo!" Simeon called out, throwing up a hand while heading toward the bundt cakes and boxes of mini donuts. "Well, if it isn't Wreck-It Ralph and Tiny Tim," Freddo shot back. He was flipping through the newspaper, licking his fingers every few seconds to turn the pages, as if anyone could read that fast. "You know, I look through this paper every day, hoping I don't see y'all faces." "You never will," Kenzie said, "unless it's for something good." "Something good like what?" Freddo asked, setting the paper on the counter. "Something good like me becoming a big-time lawyer," Kenzie replied. "Yeah, or like me becoming a famous actor," Simeon said, "so I can act like a big-time lawyer." He picked up a snack cake, turned it over to check the expiration date. No telling how long Freddo kept things, and they'd bought cakes that tasted like bricks before. "Listen, it's more likely a school bus will fall from the sky." "Ouch!" Simeon gripped his chest dramatically. "Don't get me wrong. I hope all that happens so y'all can buy this store and I can retire, kick back and watch Law and Order marathons all day, every day." "Well, we'd have to change the name of this place," Simeon said, accidentally bumping bags of chips off the shelves behind him, "to something like K&S Food, or S&K Food," Kenzie suggested. Freddo knitted his fingers together, rested his hands on the counter like some kind of judge. "Okay, gentlemen, whatever you say." A few moments later, Kenzie and Simeon were at the counter. A bag of chips for Kenzie and a snack cake for Simeon, a moon pie. 50 cents each, boys," Freddo said. "I got you," Simeon said to Kenzie, sliding Kenzie's chips over to be included with his cake. "Okay, so that's going to be $1, big man." And then came the change. Simeon reached into his pocket and pulled out a fistful of dimes and nickels and pennies, slapped them down on the counter, and started separating them and counting them out as if he were setting a checkers board. Kenzie chuckled. He was used to Simeon doing stuff like this, and seeing all that change on the counter, he couldn't help but think about how Bit Burns, Kenzie's short twin in school, who had a reputation for patting people's pockets and stealing their change, would never try that on Simeon. "Hold on, let me count it out," Simeon said. 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 27, 28. "How your brother?" Freddie asked Simeon. "Yeah, all right. Probably somewhere in the street driving that old ice cream truck around, fronting it like he legit." Freddo nodded, then nodded at Kenzie. "And what about yours? I see you still carrying that old handball of his everywhere you go. You know he ain't no good at that game, right?" And before Kenzie could answer, Simeon got frustrated and slammed his hand on the counter. "You made me lose count, man!" Simeon boomed. "Gah, now I gotta start all over. 5, 10, 15. "Okay," Freddo said, scooping the right amount off the counter into his palm. "We'll be here all day." "Where you gotta go, Freddo?" Simeon taunted. "To your mother's house. Ask her how many times she dropped you when you were a baby." "Oh, no need to ask her that. I can tell you. She only dropped me once into a vat of gold." "And a vat of gravy," Frito cracked. But Simeon didn't laugh, and because Simeon didn't laugh, Kenzie stepped up. "Better chill, Freddo," Kenzie warned. "Matter of fact, just for that." And then up on his tippy toes, he reached over and grabbed Freddo's newspaper off the counter. And when Freddo didn't budge, Kenzie snatched his lighter, too. This got Freddo's attention. "No more cigarettes. They're bad for you anyway." No more of them booty funk incense either, Simeon said, opening the door, his laughter lingering in the store after he and Kenzie left. Such silly things to take. A gossipy newspaper and a lighter, as if Fredo ain't own a store. One with a bunch of newspapers and matches and lighters behind the counter. But still, it was about the principle, the loyalty, the brotherhood. Number 5, making wishes. This is the 5th easiest thing to do other than the handshake. When Kenzie and Simeon made it to their building, the building they'd been living in their entire lives, they sat out front on the steps. The whole walk home, they laughed about Fredo, making up silly jokes about him. Fredo looked like a puppet, like somebody got their hand up his butt controlling him, Kenzie snapped. He looked like the type of dude who would own a store that just sells snacks. Like, you know what kind of guy you've got to be to just sell snacks? Snacks! From Simeon, who now had the newspaper and rolled it up into a tube. He swung it around like a short sword. What do Fredo even mean? I mean, if it's Alfredo, that would explain it, because he's definitely cheesy. Kenzie piled on, bouncing his ball back and forth under his legs. A slight breeze blew litter around, plastic bags floating like jellyfish, and deflated birthday balloon. One of the shiny metallic ones lifted and zipped through the air like happy shrapnel. Exactly, cheesy. But I can't front. He got me with the gravy joke. Simeon followed the balloon with his eyes, as if it were a football thrown long, or a messenger pigeon with a note from afar. A smirk crept onto his face. Yeah, he did, Kenzie agreed, and they both cracked up. Kenzie set the ball down, opened his bag of chips, offered Simeon some. Nah, I'm good, Simeon said as the balloon floated out of view. But give me that lighter. Kenzie handed Simeon Fredo's lighter, unsure of what he was going to do with it. He couldn't grow up to be a lawyer if Simeon was getting ready to set something on fire. Jokes were one thing, but burning stuff down was something totally different. Simeon unrolled the newspaper, glanced at the front page, which was a story about a school bus falling from the sky, and ripped it in half. They ripped the half in half and twisted it into a paper worm. At least that's what it looked like. Then he took the moon pie from its plastic, his huge fingers crushing most of it, trying to slide it out perfectly. Happy birthday to you, Simeon started singing in a fake opera voice. Happy birthday to you. What? Happy birthday, dear Kenzie. Happy birthday to you. Simeon stuck the paper worm into the moon pie, making it a wick. Then he lit the end of it on fire. Happy birthday, my man. I would have sang you the black people version, but I ain't want to turn this special moment into a concert, Simeon said, holding the moon pie out for Kenzie. The growing flame licked the air. It's not my birthday, bro. Quick, blow it out before it turns this moon pie to a s'more. Kenzie gave in, leaned over. And don't forget to make a wish. Kenzie thought for a moment, then huffed the fire out, bits of scorched paper flying off like black snowflakes. The smoke corkscrewing up into the air. What you wish for? Simeon asked. I ain't telling you, because then it won't come true. True, Simeon said, standing up. Well, since I can't know your wish, I might as well go get at this homework. Mr. Devanzo wants us to write about environmental something. I don't know, but I know I'll get a better view looking out my apartment window. You can see more from up there. Simeon pulled the paper out of the moon pie. He split the snack, stuffed half in his mouth, and gave the other half to Kenzie. Yeah, I'm out too, Kenzie said, back on his feet as well. He shoved his half of the moon pie in his mouth too. Slipped the ball in his bag, had to free his hands for what was coming. The handshake. They grab hands. Shake, shake. Slide. Finger grip. Shake, shake. Then point to themselves. Double fist bump. Throw a peace sign beside each of their right ears. Point to each other. Slap their individual fingertips together. Rub the air as if they were holding a ball bigger than the one in Kenzie's bag. Then they thump their chins and shake their heads at each other before ending it with a big hug. Brothers, Simeon said. Brothers, Kenzie repeated, his voice muffled by the moon pie he was still chewing. They did just like they'd watched their older brothers do it. the same shake, the same secret, the same bond, on the same steps. And as they rode the elevator up to their separate floors, Simeon on 7, Kenzie on 9, Simeon looked at Kenzie, knowing what he wished for. And Kenzie looked at Simeon, knowing Simeon knew that he wished the smoke from the paper candle could drift, could carry a note through the air, across the city and state, over lands and highways he'd never been on, through barbed wire, stone and iron, ghosting its way through bars and into the ear of his brother, to tell him how he wished he didn't have to walk home from school, how he wished his brother Mason could pick him up in a car just like the car Simeon's brother, Chucky, had stolen almost 2 years ago. The one Mason took the hit for, went down for. But not that one, a different one, and took Kenzie for a ride. Maybe even showed him how to play. All right, so that's the end there. So there's something there about the car and how it was stolen, and there's something going on with the brothers, and in a way, I think Simeon somehow feels responsible for his brother Chucky and what he did, and maybe that's part of the reason why he looks out for Kenzie. So that's something to consider after you have read this and thought about it.